Do you ever wonder why your life can sometimes feel so mundane? Today we're diving into the world of trying new things and getting comfortable with the unknown, poking the world and seeing what happens when we do so. So stick around and find out why poking the world might lead to success and happiness. Point number 1. Why try stuff? Before we go in depth on how we're going to start new things, it's probably good for us to ask the question, why is it important for us to brace the unknown? Why should I make it a priority in my life? By essentially asking the question, what's in it for me? Firstly, trying new things makes us happy. When we try new things, we often open ourselves up to a whole new world of things that we didn't really know existed, or at least to a large extent we were unaware of it. When we start doing something and we start seeing a level of progress in our ability to do that thing, we start to feel a sense of enjoyment and achievement as well. We become more comfortable with being uncomfortable once we slowly start to overcome the fear of the unknown and our fear of failure. And another reason why trying things makes us happy is that we're busy doing the thing. Whenever you're doing something, you can't really be that bored. So the antidote to boredom is just doing something. And trying to do something makes you less bored. Secondly, learning and experimenting makes us more interesting and valuable. When we learn something new, we have something else in our conversation tool belt and a wider array of things to talk about. Trying new things also allows you to connect to a community of people that you haven't been previously exposed to that are also interested in the same things. And this can lead to deep and meaningful friendships. When we start shifting our mindset to trying new things, we can also potentially become more valuable in the workplace as a result. You can, for instance, while trying something new, stumble upon a way of being more productive in your line of work. For example, as you try new things, you can potentially stumble upon a new way of doing things in your field of work and potentially increase your productivity level. If you learn a new skill that can resonate with the skill sets that you have at work, you have a unique position to skill stack your different skills and actually become more valuable in an economic sense as well, thus making you more valuable to your employers and even potentially being able to help you get a raise. And thirdly, the knock-on effect of trying new things. Once you start trying new things, you're highly likely to find something that you actually enjoy doing and that brings you a lot of fulfillment. But it doesn't even end there. Once you start to try things and once you start becoming good at the things you're trying, there are a number of side benefits that you get as a byproduct. One is that we start to build confidence as we have a wider range of skills and knowledge to draw from. A truly great way to increase your confidence is to know that you are capable and competent in different areas. People are confident in their abilities and skills, so therefore learning something new allows you to become confident in that skill over time. Learning something new helps build your character because you have to push through that awkward first phase of not being good at something. Generally, when we start something new, we often feel awkward, uncomfortable, or we just get discouraged very quickly. So in order to get good at something, we have to push past that awkward and uncomfortable first phase. This helps us build resilience and tenacity. It also helps stimulate creativity by applying your mind in a completely new and unique way. You also start to grow as a person as you've got more skills in your tool belt and more experiences to draw from, making you a more well-rounded person and helps you with your personal growth. Learning new things can also boost your mental, emotional, and in some cases also your physical health. You never really quite know what can happen when you apply yourself and when you try things, and that's the beauty of it. You are forging a new path for yourself as you go on your own journey of learning and trying things. Fourth and lastly, people that have changed the world tried new things. If you need more motivation or reason to be convinced to change the status quo, remember that all great things that happen in the world changed as a result of people trying things. Nothing good in the world happened by people doing nothing. The people who have found changing history found themselves preoccupied with something. A question, a thought, an idea, a skill. They were preoccupied with something. Pretty much most of the revolutionary changes that happened in history came from people who were devoted to trying things. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, who was considered to be one of the world's most smartest people in history. He was a sculptor, an architect, a mathematician, an engineer, an inventor, an anatomist, and I think he painted a few paintings as well. Oh yeah, and he was a writer. So I think it's safe to say that he definitely tried things and tried new things. He had an innate curiosity and just kept exploring, and following that thread of curiosity led him to try new things and to try different things, and eventually those different things led to other great things. I'm not saying that if we try new things and we start to follow the thread of our own curiosity that we will become world famous and our names will be written in history. But if you do dare to try things and open yourself up to the possibility of what could happen when you try things, your life will be changed forever. So next is criteria for what to try. So now that we've been thoroughly convinced to try new things, the next thing to look at is criteria for things to try. We have an endless amount of options in front of us, and that's quite overwhelming. Most studies say that when we're presented with a large number of options, we tend to not make a decision at all because we're just too afraid of making the wrong decision. This is called, and I'm sure you guys are aware, paralysis of analysis. So we need to create a system of whittling down our options until we have a few good options that we're actually excited to try. And after the whittling down process, we do not have to commit and be married to any of the options that we have. We try something, we give it enough time to see whether we actually enjoy it or whether we're just not good at it yet, and we wait long enough to see, is this something that inspires us and we can find fulfillment in. If after a while of trying things it doesn't inspire you or invoke curiosity, you can move on to the next thing on your list, having learned and grown through the process. Criteria number 1. Does it excite you? Before we decide on trying a few things, we should already know what our general likes and dislikes are, and what are the things that already pique your curiosity and interest, and start with those. Write down a list of all the things that you find interesting and that you might want to pursue or that you might want to learn something more about. Take 5 minutes and write down a list of everything that inspires you and that invokes curiosity. Next to those initial interests and curiosities, write down things that you can do to explore those curiosities more and things that you can try as a result of those. You can even, after that exercise, score each and every one of those interests and things that you want to try out of a score from 1 to 5. 1 being not really interested to 5 being really, really interested. Criteria number 2. Is it in line with the skills you already have or want to acquire? You probably already have quite a few skills, some of which you might not even be aware of because they come so second nature to you. So if you struggle to find out or figure out what exactly are you skilled at or naturally good at, go to someone who really understands you and knows you well and ask them to please write down a list of a few of the main skills that they think you possess. Let's say you are a greatly skilled photographer. Maybe you can also start dabbling in videography as well. It is something that is semi-connected and you can pull some of your initial understanding to the second discipline that you're now trying to learn. By doing this, you may already have a quite unfair advantage on some of the other people that will just start from scratch. This can help you again to overcome that initial buffer period of not being good at a skill and that awkward phase of trying to overcome your insecurity around not being good at it. Criteria number 3. Is it intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated? A good question to ask yourself when you're pursuing something new, whether that be goals, skills or dreams or anything else, is whether it's intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. What is the underlying motivational factors that is pushing you to do this? Why do you actually want to try and do this specifically? Is it because you think you're going to get external recognition and fame? If that is the case, I would really urge you to reconsider. Generally, if all our motivation is external, we generally will lose motivation fairly quickly, as it doesn't really speak to us on a personal level. However, if it's intrinsically motivating, it comes from within. It's something that you want to pursue for yourself. It's something that excites you and you want to do for your own gains. Intrinsic motivation, you are genuinely curious about the thing that you want to try and you're doing it for your own reasons. If you're intrinsically motivated, you will generally enjoy the process more and enjoy every step along the way. Number 4, what are the metrics of success in trying this? How do you know when you've accomplished what you set out to do? Another good question to keep in mind when you're starting something new is how will you know when you've achieved success in whatever it is that you're working towards? Again, the goal isn't necessarily to be successful at X or Y. In whatever you want to achieve, make sure that your outcome is defined. This will help you assess where you are in terms of your progress and will also help you to be able to track your progress and see the improvement that you've made. This will also help and act as another means of motivation motivation by looking at your progress and seeing how close you are to your end goal. Barriers to trying things. Here are some more common barriers on why we struggle to get started with something and also how to overcome them. Firstly, it's generally inconvenient. It's inconvenient for us to find something new to try and figure out where to plot this in our overscheduled calendar. We might forget to do it, life gets in the way, and then we forget to actually get to the thing that we wanted to try. Generally, if you pick something that you're excited to try, odds are you'll remember it more than something that you're not. Set aside a specific time and date to work on whatever it is you're trying. Make sure that you can do it consistently on the same time, and generally make it as easy as possible to do the thing. Try and decrease the friction of getting started. Fear of failure and rejection. We often feel fear of failure and rejection and the fear of people seeing us and wondering, what are we doing? We generally have a fear of failure and a fear of rejection. We don't really want people to see us fail at something. Firstly, we need to redefine what is failure in this specific context. Firstly, we're trying something new, so you cannot really call it a failure because it's just part of the learning process. See failure as a learning curve and a signal of your own personal growth. Thirdly, change is hard. We tend to stay in our comfort zones for the very reason that they're called comfort zones. We don't like feeling awkward or uncomfortable or even challenged. Changing our current status quo requires a lot of initial energy for us to get going on what we want to try. So that's again why it's important to create a system around getting started as soon as possible and trying to reduce the amount of friction to actually get the task done. You'll go further faster by doing smaller steps and keeping consistent than a few sporadic large jumps of effort. Try things because you never know what might happen. We've gone through all the different criteria that we can use to create a list of things that we might want to try. We went over some fears and barriers that generally keeps people from trying anything at all. Now all that is left for us is to schedule and do the thing. Once you start doing something and you really commit to pursuing it, you cannot guarantee what might happen or what success you'll reach by doing it, but you also never know what might happen. One thing is for sure, and that is that it will change your way in some way because you tried, and you never know what might happen when you try. So go and poke the world and see what happens when you do. When you do, you'll start to see that you live a more fulfilling and intentional life. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.